I got my hands on the new Unearthly Cosmetics Spring Magic palette, and I created 2 close-up eye looks with this palette. The first look leans a little bit more pinky peach with a gorgeous shimmer on top, and the second look is more of this blue halo eye with this stunning green shade in the center. Here's a closer look at the Unearthly Spring Magic palette. This is also my very first time trying Unearthly shadows, so I'm excited to try their formula today. And all the brushes I'm using today are by Sigma Beauty. You guys know I absolutely love their brushes, but they're having their anniversary sale right now, so you can use my code Angela Bright to get up to 40% off site-wide. That is just a crazy deal, so as always, I'm gonna link all the brushes and products that I use down below. Now let's get started with this first eye look. I'm gonna start with this pink shade Flourish on a crease brush, and I'm gonna start by blending the shade back and forth in my crease to be my transition shade. I feel like the shade is showing up a little bit more as like a hot pink on my eye, where in the pan it looks a little bit more peach, but it's still a really pretty pink color. And I am building this shade up a few times in my crease to get the pigment that I want. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the matte white shade Full Moon on the same brush, and I'm going to use that to soften the edges of the pink. I can appreciate that there's a matte white shade in this palette because kind of like how I'm using it now, it is really good for softening out the edges of colors if you just use a tiny bit. Now that my crease looks nice and blended, I'm taking more of the pink shade and I'm tapping that on the outer half of my lid, and I'll connect it into my outer crease. Now on the tip of this brush, I'm taking even more of the matte pink, and I'm going to run that across my entire lower lash line. So pretty much I just want this pink wrapped around my entire eye, so all the way throughout my crease, along this outer edge, and then the lower lash line. Now I want to start to add some depth to this look, so I'm going to take Blossom on the same brush, and I'm picking it up on the side of the brush like that, and I'm going to use that to deepen up the outer part of my lid even more. So I'm starting by lightly packing the shade on the outer part of my lid, and then once there's less product on the brush, I'll start to move my brush around in my crease to blend it out. I am picking up more of that shadow and I'm just building that up. So like I said, this is my very first time using Unearthly shadows, and I kind of wish the mattes were just a little bit creamier. They are a little bit dry to work with, but I mean, nothing terrible is happening so far. I am really liking these 2 shades paired together. Now I just have to place one of these shimmers on my lid, and I actually have quite a lot of options that I could do for this look. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch out some of these shimmers that I'm kind of interested in. All right, I swatched out some of those kind of more pinky shimmery shades that I was eyeballing. So this first shade right here is actually a cream shadow, and I was not expecting that when I swatched out that shade, and that is Warmth. This next one is Lush. This third one right here is Mystic. This one is Sunshine, which I am kind of leaning towards, and it has a little bit of green in it that I really like. And then this more kind of white based, almost like holographic one is Clouds. Like I said, I'm leaning towards Sunshine, so I'm going to take that on a flat lid brush. I want to try this with a brush first, and that's going to go on this inner blank part of my lid. That actually applied really nicely with the brush. So after I laid down that shade, I'm gonna go back to my crease brush I've been using with no additional product on it, and I'm just gonna softly blend around the edges of that shimmer. Now I want to see if I can build up and intensify that with my finger. That is a really, really pretty shimmer. I love that. Now I'm going back to that deeper pink shade Blossom on my crease brush, and I'm just touching that up on the outer part of my lid. Now for the lower lash line, I'm taking more Blossom on a pencil brush, and I'm switching to this smaller brush so I can be a little bit more precise, and I'm applying that on the outer part of my lower lash line. Part of me is expecting these matte shades to be super pigmented when I first apply them, but they're really not, and that's not a bad thing. Like, you know how sometimes you'll pick up a shadow and it'll just be way too much? Like, I'm not having that problem at all with these shadows. So because of that, I feel like it's a more beginner-friendly shadow formula because you're not going to overdo it with a couple dips into the shadow. I do want to deepen up this look just a little bit more, so I'm going to take Clove on that pencil brush, and I'm going to stamp that on the very, very outer part of my lid, kind of right in my outer V. Alright, so I placed the shade pretty low on my lid, and now once all the product is off my brush is when I'll start to kind of soften the edges of this. And then if you're having a hard time blending out the steepest shade, you can always go back to the previous shade you were using. So in this case, it would be Blossom. And you would just place that shade kind of right around the edges of the deepest shade. And then to even things out, I'm also going to take a little bit of Clove on the outer part of my lower lash line. Now I'm going to take that matte white shade on a small firm blending brush, and I'm going to use that to highlight my inner corner. Well, it's really just going to brighten up this area, not really highlight it because it is a matte shadow, but it's just kind of a way to switch things up other than doing a shimmery inner corner highlight. I went ahead and finished up this look with some mascara, lashes, and a nude liner in my waterline. And for my lashes today, I'm just wearing a little half lash right out there on the outer corner, and for that, I'm wearing the Bright Lashes half lash in Flutter. And here's a final close-up of my first look with this palette. Alright, let's get started on the second eye look. Using another crease brush, I'm going to pick up Breezy, and I'm going to place that shade throughout my entire crease. This is such a gorgeous blue color, and it is applying really, really nicely. Just like with that first look, I'm going to take a little bit of the white shade on my crease brush and using that to soften out the edges of the blue. Now I'm taking more of that Breezy shade on the tip of my crease brush, and I'm going to run that across my entire lower lash line. So again, for this look, I have the blue wrapped around my entire eye. And now for this look, I want to do a halo eye, so I'm going to deepen up the outer and inner corner of my lid. And for that, I'm going to take Heather on a small crease brush. And I just picked up a little bit of that shadow, and this brush is just a smaller version of the crease brush I've been using. I absolutely love this one. So I'm going to start by building up this shadow on the outer part of my lid. And then whatever's left over on my brush, I'll bring into the inner lid. So you can just see how nicely this smaller brush fits right in this kind of smaller area of my eye. And once I have that shadow laid down and most of the pigment is off my brush is when I'll start to blend up towards the crease. And I'm just doing little circular motions here. And same thing in the inner crease. And I am going to go in with one more layer just to build up this shadow. You can see that I'm leaving the center of my eyelid blank for now. And then I'm also going to blend Heather along my entire lower lash line with this smaller brush. Alright, so that is what the eye is looking like so far, and now I want to add a shimmer to the center of my lid. And for that, I'm debating in between these two shades, so I want to swatch these out. This one is Sprout, and this one is Dragonfly. That is so tricky. These are both gorgeous colors, but I think I'm going to go with Dragonfly just because it has a hint of blue in it. So I'm going to take that Dragonfly shade on my finger, and I'm starting with a little bit of shadow because I want to keep this precise in the center of my eyelid, so I don't want to put on too much at once. And here we go, right in the center. So I'm starting by pressing the shadow on my lid, and then once there's less shadow on my finger is when I'll go up towards my crease. That is so pretty. I love this color. I am going to go in with a second layer just right on the eyelid, just to really build this up. So after I laid down that shadow, you can see a little bit of a harsh line right here, kind of where the shimmer kind of starts. So I do want to soften that out. I'm just going to go back to my small crease brush with no additional product on it and just kind of pat along that harsh line right there. For my inner corner for this look, I'm going to take Clouds right here in the inner corner. And the shade has a little bit of blue in it, so it'll go really nicely with this look. I do want to brighten it up just a little bit, so I'm taking a little bit of that matte white shade Full Moon. And I'm just going to kind of mix the two together in my inner corner. For this look, I think I want to smoke out the lower lash line a bit. So I'm going to start by applying a black liner in my waterline. Now I'm going to take the deepest blue shade Thaw on a small smudge brush, and I'm going to use that to kind of smoke out the lower lash line. That deep blue is so pretty. I went ahead and finished up this look with some mascara and lashes. And again, I'm just wearing the same half lash. I'm wearing Flutter from the Bright Lashes. I also went ahead and added just a little bit of black shadow to my top lash line. Now, as I was finishing up the look, I noticed that that green shimmery shade Dragonfly was creasing a little bit. And I'm not sure if that's like creasing because of me or because it was the shadows. So I did add just a little bit more of that shade to my lid. So I'm not really sure on why that shadow is creasing. It could totally be me. Maybe I didn't blend out my primer well enough before I applied shadow. It's very possible, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But here's the final close-up of the second look with the palette. I think overall I'm very happy with the quality of these shadows from Unearthly. Again, it was my very first time using their shadows. I think the palette itself is absolutely gorgeous. I love the shades in it, and there's still like a couple more looks I would like to create with it. So if you want to see another video with this palette, please let me know. Don't forget that Sigma's anniversary sale is still going on, where you can get 40% off with my code AngelaBright. As always, everything I used today will be linked down below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.